Hello friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Barb, and today I'm going to talk to you about a topic I am very passionate about: storage units. So it all started a few years ago when I was walking into a local store and I was talking to a lady that worked there, and I happened to see her every week when I went in there, so we kind of built up this rapport. So she was fascinated with the fact that I was into organizing and minimalism, and she had shared with me that she and her husband had 3 storage units, and one of them was extra large. And I asked her, well, how much are you paying each month for these? And she told me. So I went home and I figured out what that was costing. So the next week when I went back, I shared with her that over the last few years, they had paid $10,000 in rental costs for those units, and she couldn't believe it. So I showed her the map. It kind of went from there. She went home, she told her husband and showed him the map that I gave her. And so over the next year, they first they emptied the first storage unit and got rid of everything. And this was hard for him because he tended to be a bit of a hoarder. And then they got rid of the second one and they emptied it out and let it go. And I remember telling her, you guys work way too hard for your money to spend it like this. And I even asked her at one point, I said, is anything in those storage units worth $10,000? And she said, not even close. So they were motivated. So I believe it was the second year that they had sold their home and moved into another home, and it was much larger, so they were able to empty the third storage unit, the large one, into their home and buildings so that they no longer were paying for those storage units. So I started doing some investigating. And do you know that in the US, storage units are a $39.5 billion, with a B, billion-dollar industry. So in January of 2021, the average price for a 10 by 10, which is considered a medium-sized unit, is $94.28. So that's average across the US. Okay, so in 1 year's time, and I rounded these numbers up for simplicity, in 1 year's time, you would pay $1,131 to rent one medium-sized unit. In 2 years' time, you would pay $2,263 for one unit. And in 5 years' time, you will have paid $5,657 for one medium-sized unit. Lots of people have more than one unit. Lots of people have larger units. So those numbers, of course, would increase. Now, this information is from the U.S. Self-Storage Industry Statistics by Alexander Harris. Now, in the U.S., our population is almost 330 million people. Do you know that we have more storage units than all of the following restaurants combined in the U.S.? Starbucks, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Pizza Hut, and Wendy. We have more storage units in the U.S. than all of those restaurants combined. And you know, here we live in a rural town in Ohio, and we have 2,500 people. We have 2 sets of storage unit facilities, and one of them is actually building on 2 more buildings at their storage facility as we speak. And if you drive out of town in 2 different directions, as soon as you get to the next small town, immediately there is a storage unit facility. It's crazy. They're everywhere. Folks, we have too much stuff. Joshua Becker says, we were never meant to live life accumulating stuff. We were meant to live life simply enjoying the experiences of life, the people of life, and the journey of life, not the things of life. Now, there are some legitimate reasons why you would actually use a storage unit. Things do come up in life and you do need them. So I listed a few here. I'm sure there are others, but these are a few that I could think of. Number 1, say you're buying or building a home and you're waiting on your new home to be available. Say you already sold your home, maybe you're renting a place or living with family, and you need somewhere to store all your stuff. That would be a perfectly legitimate reason to use a storage unit. Say you're selling your home and you need to stage your home. What is one of the first things that the realtor tells you to do? Empty your home, get it uncluttered. So you need somewhere to put all your stuff to make your home appear uncluttered as the people come through for the showings. Number 3, to store your boats and cars in the off season during the winter months. That would protect them. Number 4, your college student comes home in the summertime and they bring all their mounds of things. Well, especially if you've already downsized, you don't have anywhere to put it. So obviously it makes sense to rent a storage unit over the summer to store their things in until they go back in the fall. Okay? Say also you own a home and you're doing a home renovation and you need somewhere to put your furniture and things to get them out of the way for the home renovation. And the 6th reason, you have a transient job. You don't have a permanent job. You're traveling all the time. You need somewhere to store your things until you settle down to a permanent job, a permanent location. And again, I'm sure there are other reasons, but just to collect stuff and store stuff, that is not a good reason to have a storage unit, okay? So now you're thinking, well, what do I do about all the stuff in my storage unit? So now you have to start shifting your thinking. So whether these things are in your home or in a landfill, they're still on the planet, and your mental health is worth letting these things go. And you really need to come to terms with that. Now you're talking about the stress, the anxiety of coming up with that money each month, or just knowing it's there and it needs to be dealt with. Let it go. Just let it go. Another thing to consider, the money's already spent. You can't get it back. Just forgive yourself for poor decisions made in the past and know that you will do better in the future. And you will. So now you open the door to the storage unit. Where do I start? What do I do? Look at all these boxes. Take your phone and set the timer to 10 seconds. Yes, I said second. Now, when you have random boxes of things that you have not looked at a year, 2 years, 5 years, they've just been sitting in there, this is how you approach it. You take the emotion out of it. You set your timer for 10 seconds. You open that box, you give yourself 10 seconds to pull out anything of true value. And if there isn't anything, or you find one thing, you take it out, you donate the box. And that's how you quickly work through those boxes. It completely takes all the emotion out of it, and it allows you to just quickly make yes, no decisions and just let it go. Say you've done that, but there's still lots of things in there that you need to deal with, and what do you do now? So now I'm going to give you 4 questions to ask yourself repeatedly as you go through this process. And I promise you, as you go through this process, you will build up what we call decluttering muscle. And the more you use them, the better you get at it, the easier it gets, and the quicker you get at it. So, number 1 question, have you used or worn this item in the last 12 months? And if no, let it go. Number 2, would you buy this item again? If you were shopping in a store right now, this random item you pick up in your storage unit, would you purchase it? No? Let it go. Does this item add value to your life? And be honest with yourself and be brutal. Does this item add value, or is it a burden? Is it one more thing you have to manage and take care of? Number 4, is this item part of your past or part of your future? And here is where you really need to deal with you talking to your fantasy self or your reality self. Was this part of your past? Was it something you used, you loved, you enjoyed, and you have wonderful memories of, but it's time to let it go. It's time to move on. You're done with that stage of your life. Now you've moved on to other interests and other activities and things. Really ask yourself this and talk to your reality self, not your fantasy self, of what you wish you could do or what you're going to do. Let's be realistic. Let's be brutal. Let's get this done. Let's take the emotion out of it. Joshua Becker also says, own less stuff, enjoy more freedom. It really is that simple. And folks, I can tell you personally from Glenn and my own journey. I want you all to experience this. There is nothing that compares to the freedom that you get from letting go of things. When we moved here and we downsized and we still had way too much stuff, the process of letting go was especially at the beginning, it was kind of emotionally painful and frustrating. But once we got the hang of it, it became easy and our decluttering muscles got stronger and we became very focused on what we wanted our home to be. And we wanted it to be light and airy and cozy and easy to clean and easy to manage. And we didn't want to look for things. We wanted everything to have a home. We wanted to know where it was. And I can't explain to you, but I wish I could, how freeing that is. When you wake up every day and you know where everything in your home is. You don't spend any time hunting for things. You don't lose things. You don't repurchase things because you know where your things are. It's such a sense of freedom. It's a whole different way to live. And I want that for you. I want that for all of you. I want that freedom, that load off your mind. I want that for you. If you have a storage unit that is just full of stuff and you've had it for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, I really, really hope you will consider letting it go. You work entirely too hard for your money to spend it storing stuff you don't need or use. Another thing to keep in mind, if you're telling me that, oh, this was grandma's or this was mom's and I must keep it, it has so much value. No, it doesn't. Because you're storing it in a box in a storage unit. That is not honoring your loved one. If you are keeping something for sentimental reasons, then you need to display it or use it. So be real with yourself. So if you bring it into your home from that storage unit, find a place for it in your home and let something else go. Okay, that's it for today. Please hit the like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.